what's up? How's it going? This is Halloween drawings. It's that time of year again, and this one I'm going to go over a tip, kind of on how to use the marker. I'm using markers in a lot of these. I'm using colored pencils and pencils, but I would say I'm going to give you little tips on the marker that I use. And what I used to use was straight up Sharpies, like this thing right here. I used to use this, but I'm not really using that anymore because the smell is so terrible, and also I heard the smells really bad for your health. So now I use Prismacolor here, and this isn't any particular brand per se, but it's just a Prismacolor Premier, and they're kind of expensive, and these do kind of smell as well, so be careful. It has two edges on this, a thick side and a thin one. But what I prefer to use is I use the Faber-Castell PITT Artist Pen brush, because it has no smell at all, and it has kind of a tip. If you look at the tips stuff, make sure it has that kind of tip on it, you know, that's kind of like slightly pointed. I would not use the Charpec and stuff like that have these tips like that. I don't think that's a good idea. But you know, like a lot of people do use those, so it's kind of up to you. But I recommend something like that has like kind of a bullet point so that you can control stuff. And I'll give you a couple of tips on how to use this particular marker, and this does go for certain types of pencils, but not really. So what we're using, if we're going to pull a straight line, and this is general advice you could also do with a pencil in terms of like, you'd have to do a little bit differently, but when you're pulling a round line like so, it'd be a good idea to make the thick end out here. So as you're pushing down on this, make that thicker and make that thinner as it comes down. That's a really crummy line. Let me move it around here. So you would go thin, thick, thin, thin, thick, thin. And that has to do with your hand. That has to do with how heavy you push your hand. So let's try that again, and I'm gonna do it a little simpler on this line right here. So like, let's just say we're pulling a straight line, thick, oops, 1 second, thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin. And it might be a little bit, hopefully it's not too hard to see, but you are kind of doing that. So to give you a general rule on how this is used, we kind of have these things called 1, 2, 3 lines. So let's say a 1 is a really thin line, 2 is a slightly thicker line, and then a 3 is like this monster crazy thick line. The general rule is if something comes in front of you, so let's just say we have a circle, let's say we have two, like a circle and a square. I'm already kind of doing it there. See how the square is in front of the circle? Whatever's in front has maybe a 2, although it looks like a 3. And then the thing in the back here will have a slightly thinner line, although those look too even. So for example, let's go over here. Something like that, like a 1. Whatever's in front of that will have like a 2. And this one already has maybe a thick line, so maybe there's like a 3. This is just a general rule for inking. You don't have to follow this. This is just one way to do things. I know other people have done it this way. You don't have to do this at all. But this is just some really quick tips on kind of how to use the marker, and maybe you can apply this with pencil as well. Just to go to that, let's go to pencil. So if I have like a line like that, I would thicken up parts of the line to make it thin to thick as well. Even though it's pencil and I'm not really doing it with one stroke, I'm literally doing it with many strokes. You're trying to get that line weight variation, but in a different way. So, like I said, these are just really broad tips that other people have done. I use them as well normally. You don't have to do them. They're just really, really quick tips on how to use the marker and what marker I use, and kind of how to, like, a little bit of techniques. That's it. Just throwing them out there. If you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'm going to do these advice videos once in a while, but mostly it's going to be the topic of Halloween. So, all right, talk to you guys later.